The global sensation of Sound of Freedom is making an immense impact, and its conclusion instills in audiences a profound feeling of optimism, all while shedding light on the harrowing realities of trafficking. Headlining the 2023 action-packed film is Jim Caviezel, portraying the role of Tim Ballard, a former agent of the Department of Homeland Security. Ballard embarks on a mission to liberate children from the clutches of trafficking in Colombia. Rooted in true events, Sound of Freedom brings to life the story of Tim Ballard, an individual who grew weary of apprehending only those who consumed illicit material related to trafficking, instead of focusing on rescuing the actual children depicted in those distressing images and videos. In the movie, Tim saved Miguel, a young boy who had been abducted, coerced into trafficking and sold. However, the traffickers who had taken the two children at the start of the film were still in the custody of Miguel's sister, Rocio, who was still missing. Tim kept his pledge to Miguel that he would save Rocco throughout Sound of Freedom. After Frost, his employer urged him to end the assignment and return to the United States. Tim even resigned from the Department of Homeland Security to carry on with his search. The documentary Sound of Freedom, which inspired audiences everywhere, followed Tim on his quest to track down Rocco and save as many kids as he could. The former agent was misinformed about Rocco's whereabouts in Sound of Freedom, just when viewers were beginning to believe that Tim will find Rocco and give her back to her father and brother. When Tim found Katie Giselle, the kidnapper of Miguel and Rocco, he encountered Vampiro, a former cartel accountant who changed his life to protect children from traffickers. Together, and with assistance from Colombian law enforcement, they devised a strategy to break into Katie Giselle's complex. In the end, Rocco was not one of the 54 children that Tim, Vampiro, and the others were able to rescue from Katie Giselle's trafficking business. While rescuing 54 children and reuniting them with their families stood as a remarkable achievement on its own, Tim had made a commitment to Miguel that he couldn't retract now, considering how much he had progressed. Through one of Katie Giselle's associates, Tim discovered that Rocio had been sold to the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Regrettably, the guerrilla group's whereabouts fell beyond the reach of the Colombian police, as the rebel-held area was designated a government no-fly zone. Nevertheless, this obstacle wasn't going to deter Tim. Tim and Vampiro strategize a plan to assume the roles of medical professionals, enabling them to gain access to the region under the pretext of responding to medical emergencies. The Colombian police gave their approval for this alternative approach. The operation was set into motion, but upon Tim and Vampiro's attempt to enter the territory, the rebels permitted only one of them to pass. Determinedly, Tim pressed forward while Vampiro remained behind. The former DHS agent located Rocio in the company of El Alacran, a prominent rebel leader, and took down the man after an intense confrontation. Engaging in a shootout with the remaining members of the guerrilla group, Tim successfully rescued Rocio and ensured her safety. This marked the culmination of his mission, reuniting Rocio with her father and Miguel as recounted in the conclusion of Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom was conceived with the intention of shedding light on the distressing and difficult realities of trafficking, while also serving as a medium to share Tim Ballard's personal journey. The film intimately chronicles Tim's life and his resolute quest to eradicate human trafficking. Notably, the scene where he resigns from his job is grounded in actual events. Similar to Caviezel's character, Tim's aspiration was to rescue children rather than merely apprehend the exploiters who subjected them to their own gratification. The portrayal of his interaction with Miguel finds its roots in reality, serving as the catalyst for Tim's voyage to Colombia in search of Rocio. Regrettably, while in Colombia, his superior called off the DHS-approved mission and instructed him to return home. Prompted by his wife Catherine's unwavering support, Tim made the decision to resign from his position, driven by the profound determination to rescue children from the clutches of trafficking. His defiance of orders stemmed from an overwhelming urge to safeguard these young lives, a sentiment that was particularly potent given his role as a parent to multiple children himself. The movie Sound of Freedom elucidates how Tim firmly believed in the principle that God's children are not for sale, a phrase that has come to symbolize the film and served as his unwavering motivation to fulfill the mission in Colombia, even if it meant sacrificing his job. The conclusion of Sound of Freedom features an epilogue detailing the events that unfolded after Tim successfully rescued Rocio from the clutches of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Upon his return to the United States, Tim dedicated himself to the task of enacting legislation that would facilitate government collaboration with foreign authorities in tackling trafficking cases. The arduous nature of Tim's mission in Colombia was intensified by the challenges of operating on unfamiliar terrain, and he recognized that this dynamic needed to evolve in order to secure the safety of more children in the times ahead. Subsequent to the completion of Operation Triple Take in Colombia and his testimony before the United States Congress, aimed at ushering in new legislation, Tim's resolve to persist on this transformative journey remained unswerving. As a result, he established Operation Underground Railroad 2013. OUR, a non-profit organization, is dedicated to the rescue of children and other individuals from the clutches of trafficking. Notably, Tim's commitment to OUR endures to this day as he continues to play an active role within the organization. Sound of Freedom originates from Angel Studios, a media company and film distribution studio renowned for producing a substantial amount of faith-based content. Given the relatively modest scale of the company, the remarkable success of the 2023 film at the box office was quite unexpected. On its opening day, July 4th, 2023, Sound of Freedom garnered a staggering $14 million, and its earnings have continued to surge throughout the month of July. As of the time of writing, the movie's total revenue has reached an impressive $40 million, significantly exceeding its initial budget of $15 million. Few anticipated the box office triumph of Sound of Freedom, especially when pitted against formidable contenders like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and Insidious: The Red Door. Yet the present reality defies expectations. A pivotal factor driving the movie's success is the power of word of mouth. Enthusiastic discussions and favorable reviews have propelled increased ticket sales. The equation is straightforward. Angel Studios adeptly orchestrated the promotion of Sound of Freedom, yielding substantial box office returns. In its entirety, Sound of Freedom revolves around the fundamental concept of doing what is morally right, a straightforward yet impactful theme. While its primary focus is on eradicating trafficking, the film also delves into Tim's pivotal choice to relinquish his job in order to save Rocio. While job stability holds considerable significance for many, Tim willingly forewent it, driven by the understanding that locating and rescuing Rocio took precedence above all else in that juncture of his life. Sound of Freedom compellingly illustrates the virtue of heeding one's instincts, regardless of the associated sacrifices, all the while shedding light on the ongoing issue of trafficking. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.